Thanks for being here today, John. Nice to have you, mate.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Great. Just for the viewers today, my name is Richard, owner of Upcurve Personal Training, showing you how to live longer, live better. I have John here today. He's going to tell you a little bit about himself in a moment. But just to put the viewers in perspective, the reason why we're here today, answering the question, well, what can you viewers do practically right now to start helping you guarantee health into old age? You're looking for real practical, easy to implement tips you can do right away. So, John, maybe you'd like to introduce yourself and then, give us some of those tips.
Yeah, of course. My name is John Hill. I'm a personal trainer, weight loss coach based in Birmingham. I also run a women-only fitness program which we specialise in helping the over 40s, called the Fit Brummie Bootcamp. I've been doing what I've been doing now. This is my 10th year. I've been doing this. Prior to that, I was the complete polar opposite of what I am today, I suppose, in terms of being overweight and being unhealthy. So I've kind of been on a journey where I was in worse shape when I was younger, and now I'm in better shape now I'm older. So I suppose this particular subject is of great interest to me because I've I've reversed the trend. I'm one of the only people that doesn't want to be in the shape he was in his 20s. So I've seen firsthand how important it is. I'm 42 in a couple of weeks. I've seen how important it is firsthand to look after yourself as you're older. And one tip, sort of principle I would say is that people kind of get this thing backwards. They kind of say, well, it was easier when I was in my 20s, so I did it more, and now in my 40s I need to do it less. Whereas actually the statistics tell us that it's probably more important when you hit the age of particularly 40, because they reckon that that's the age in which the chances of the main lifestyle illnesses will kick in: heart disease, cancer, stroke, Alzheimer's, dementia. Those are the big four. 80% chance, I heard once, I'm not sure how true that is, that after the age of 40, it's one of those four things that are going to get you. And of course, at some level, those things can be prevented. So what do we do? Well, I think what my advice is always with people is go right back to basics. So you haven't got to spend any money, you haven't got to invest in anything, you haven't got to go after any shiny objects. Weirdly, paradoxically, you haven't even got to hire a coach. I think if you go back to the absolute essence of the basics of what we should be doing as humans, number one, I think you have to look at the level of toxicity in your both your mental and physical environment. So, for example, I used to be a 20-year smoker. I used to drink quite a bit. So you've got to look at that as a baseline. And this isn't about moralizing, because, of course, we don't want to create a disconnect with people because they know that certain things are quote unquote bad for us. But when it comes to longevity, those are probably the first two things to look at. Is your level of toxicity from your diet, which I would class as sort of excessive alcohol, smoking, drugs, both obviously prescription or not, and then finally into the food elements that reduce the level of toxins, or find ways to reduce the level of toxins, which isn't necessarily easy, particularly if there's addiction issues there or whatever. But that was going to be the first place to start. And again, that isn't complicated. Most people would go out tomorrow to a supermarket and know what's good and what's bad. And we need to get back to that instead of these fads and these names for things and these things that have to fit into boxes. It's just, let's just keep it really, really simple and make the foundation of what we do fairly toxin free. That's not to eradicate everything, because that's not practical for our own sanity and enjoyment of life. I once heard a quote which was, there's no point increasing the longevity if you're going to decrease the quality.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so that's the first thing.
Okay.
The toxicity from a physical standpoint. In
Yes.
terms of mental standpoint,
Yes.
well, we live in a technological age where we're bombarded constantly with sort of with technology. And again, we can't moralize. It's the way it is now. We can't say don't do that because that's life. But I think in terms of basics, technology sort of late at night is not very good, not very healthy. Phones in bed, iPads in bed, laptops in bed, aren't great, because then that has a knock-on effect to sleep, which then has a knock-on effect to everything in terms of the choices that we make. It's very important to establish technological boundaries. The phone goes away at a certain time, the iPad goes away at a certain time, the laptop, remove the distractions. That's going to help in terms of your mental health. Also, the least time spent online is also going to reconnect you with yourself, because you're not going to be in this comparison world where you're constantly thinking that things are different to how they are. You're comparing yourself to other people wrongly, which is not good, and is not good for people's mental health. I always find it ironic that the people talk about mental health awareness the most on social media, which is the last place you want to be if you've got mental health problems. So, in my opinion, so yeah, that's the other thing from a mental standpoint. Then that has a knock-on effect to sleep, really. So I think from a wellness standpoint, in terms of mental and physical, I would say those are the two things to do first. Activity, in terms of what you do from an activity standpoint, again, keep it really, really simple. What you do has to be sustainable, and it has to be doable. In the outset, there's that fantastic line from Martin Luther King, which is, you don't need to see the whole staircase, just the first step. So if you're doing nothing, you need to get on the first step. And then, am I okay here? Yeah, second step. Problem is, because of the way exercise, inverted commas again, is marketed to people, it's 0 to 100. No, we need to get people on the first step. They need to start doing what they're doing. We live in a fantastic world now where things can be tracked. So we can track things like steps, which gives us a measure, whether or not, I don't care whether it's a valid fitness goal or not. That's not important. What's important is we're measuring it. So the first step is to get out in the fresh air, get yourself out being active, get yourself being walking where you can. Again, environment's changed, more cars, more reasons to stay at home, order food, order medicine, order everything, TV. We've got to break that cycle and make sure that we're getting back out and just doing the basics in terms of that. And again, if you want to then exercise more, gym, running, cardio stuff, that's fine. But first stage has to be doable, which is just general activity.
Fantastic tips. I mean, so far, kind of got three key areas there. Toxicity, I know you referred to sort of mental and sort of food choices. I think, viewers can really go away with a really clear guideline when it comes to sort of technology, just simply to take time away from those things. If it's not a necessity, maybe explore, can you spend more time away from it, switching things off, not getting engaged with technology as much. So that's a great tip there. And then, when it comes to sort of going into supermarkets, choosing food, can you think of like a really clear cut guideline that would enable people to kind of know, the best choices to make when it comes to?
Yeah, I think what I've learned over the years, when you because as Richie, as you'll know from your experiences as well, we get bombarded with information. We follow these different diets and we follow these different protocols, and what you tend to find over the years is certain principles stick out. There's all these tactics, and then all these principles stick out. So for me, I think number one, irrespective of choice of diet, whether you're vegetarian or you're a carnivore, whatever it is you do, then high protein needs to be key. I think because that is not only gonna keep you full primarily, and I think we can't necessarily make protein ourselves. We need to get it from our diet, very simplistically speaking. So I think high protein, number one. Number two, of course, remember the body needs nutrients, not food. So whilst, yes, we need to eat less, we need to be in a calorie deficit in some way, whatever diet we follow to do that. We have to remember that we can't just eat low calorie processed food all day and think we're going to be okay. We have to go for the basics, which is our nutrients. So what are the key nutrients that we need? And again, that's not complicated. Citrus fruits, foods that are high in magnesium, for example, leafy greens. These type of things are not, they're not abstract to us. They're not, oh my God, we need to eat broccoli. That shouldn't surprise anybody. And having those things in your diet as the foundation on 80, I work off the base of an 80% of the time, because if you're good, I don't like using that word, but if you are looking after yourself 80% of the time, you're going to get 80% of the results, which is good. So basics, high protein, nutrients, foods that are high in nutrients, like citrus fruits, like berries, like leafy greens. And then
Excellent.
Things like that.
Yeah, it sounds like you're talking a lot about whole foods, so natural foods, unprocessed, high protein, mixed with lots of leafy greens, green leafy vegetables, good fruits. Yeah, this is the way to go, really. And I think for a lot of viewers out there, they potentially might find them, because of time and pressure on diaries and tasks, they turn to processed foods as a quick fix. But yeah, these other alternatives are going to help the body repair itself and improve health into old age as what we're trying to achieve here. Fantastic. Yeah. And then you mentioned activity. The thing that screams out there is about getting out more, from what you said earlier, getting out more and taking one step at a time, not looking to achieve huge results, but something sustainable that you can do daily, that you can do weekly and continue to do without it being a pressure to complete.
Yeah, I mean, the two things that I would say are the principles to go away with from that are, number one, you are allowed to use common sense. So when you're making a choice in the supermarket, you are allowed to go, come on, I know what's good and bad here. I can sort of tell. That is allowed. Yeah. The second thing is about the convenience food that you mentioned. Get yourself in a position where you can learn to make good, bad choices. So if you have to make a bad choice, as in you're in a petrol station, you're in somewhere, make it a good, bad choice. Not a bad choice. So what's the best of the bad bunch?
Gotcha. Gotcha, John. Yeah, nice one. Well, some great stuff there. Toxicity, reducing that, really important one, both mental and physical. You've touched on there. Really appreciate that. And then activity, and just the kind of simple thing of making common sense choices. I think a lot of the time we know, as you said, we know what is probably good for us. But a lot of distractions drawing us to what isn't necessarily going to be best for us. So it's just to kind of trust that inner part of us that goes, that's not good. Maybe I can stay away from that and make a better choice today. Yeah. Nice one. Nice one. Any ending thoughts there, John? Anything else
keep it simple. Keep everything simple, and the best way to approach health, in my opinion, is of course not to be perfect, because nobody is, and don't believe anybody that tells you that they are. And secondly, always have things that are just easy to go back to. So if you have a bad day, just remember that. I mean, I've been a coach now for nearly 10 years, and the biggest lesson I've learned in that time, and I'll be honest, is that the biggest thing that lets people down is people make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. So make sure that when you have that bad day, bad week, that you're able to the thing that you're going to slot back into is doable. Yeah. So, you can just go, well, actually, I can go for my half-hour walk tomorrow. I didn't go today, but it's fine. I can just do that tomorrow. So it's things you can just drag and drop back into your behaviour, your routine, that's going to make it easier to get started again if you need to.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Oh, that's really good help for the viewers today, I think, John. I'm going to, at the end of this video, do a little drop down bullet point of all the important things you've mentioned there, so people can kind of go away with maybe a little plan of things they can do for themselves. Is there anything you want to talk about in terms of how people can access you if they want your help?
I mean, if you're watching this, I run sort of a personal trainer. You just Google John Hill Personal Trainer, you'll find me. I'm quite prominent there. Or you can go to fitbrummie.bootcamp.com. Fitbrummie.bootcamp.com. All my contact details are on there. That's the site where we do the women only fitness program. So yeah.
Brilliant. Well, John, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate your input, and I'm sure the viewers are going to appreciate what you have to say today.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me on, Richard. Thank you.
Excellent. You have a great day. Speak to you again soon.
Thank you.
All right.